Good afternoon, everyone. Give us a moment while we prepare.
We're live.
Yes.
Okay, give me a second, please. So do we have a guest today? Yes,
Of course we do.
Give me a
Of course
second,
we do.
please.
We have Leslie. Where is she? Okay,
Just a
hold on.
second, please. How was your week?
It's hectic, full of things, but flowy. Yeah, it's pretty good.
We're waiting for one more guest to come in. Did you receive the request?
Yeah. Okay, there we have it.
Hello.
Hello.
Leslie, can you put your phone horizontal, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So
Morning,
how's
Les.
everyone today?
I feel gorgeous. Thank you.
Okay.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All of you look gorgeous.
You too, Eddie.
I couldn't see. Oh, you look gorgeous too. I see you now.
So, what's our topic today?
This week, we are talking about presence and life. It is a topic that Eddie proposed. So I'm going to invite him to set the stage for us.
Honestly, this topic is quite challenging because we never talked, maybe we never heard about the correlation, if there is any correlation between presence and life. And the life we're talking about is this existence, and people may refer life to lifestyle, how we live, how we survive, and things like that. Maybe how we exist. But is there any correlation between presence and life? If we are not present or aware, would life still be there or going on, or would life even exist? So the challenge here is to observe now, what's the correlation between existence and presence? Does everything that exists, is everything aware and present? Or things can just exist or even live regardless of this presence? Because we could be present sometimes we are distracted, sometimes we are in time, in a past memory, or anxious about future. So yeah, I want to challenge us and our viewers to observe and invite us to see if there's any correlation between life or existence and presence. Leslie, would you like to start?
I couldn't hear you. You mean me?
Or Dr. Lim or Trainer Leslie?
Okay. For me, if you want to live your life, you have to be at the present. You have to stay in the moment and live at the moment. I think if you are drilled in with the past, you cannot live with the present. You cannot enjoy what you're doing, and you cannot appreciate the time that you are using at the moment. And if you are focusing about the future, about what you want to manifest, or what you would like to obtain in the future, you are not appreciate what you already have or what you are doing. For example, in my case, when I make mistake in the past, if I like focusing on the guilty or the shame or like the feeling that I would like to go back and collecting, I keep rerunning that scenery in my head. I am not living at the present. So I'm not living my life. Instead of focusing on what I'm doing, sharing or appreciate people around me, I only think about the past. So I'm losing the moment, and it's quite sad. We can learn from the past. We can go back and clear up things and starting to make up the new thing from the empty space, and we can make all the possibility from this empty space from now on. Do you agree?
There is no right or wrong.
Oh.
Julia, would you like to share?
Oh, finally. It's a it's a broad topic, and the way that I see it, I would think that our attention, like what Leslie said once also, like our attention, wherever our attention goes, the energy flows there as well. And actually, I would think that I would even risk to say that life flows there as well. And things become created according to our attention and where it flows. So I would say that, yeah, okay. And if our attention is one pointed, pointing towards a direction, then of course the energy flow in a certain area, and wherever we put our attention will flourish, I suppose, or will grow or be amplified. So if it's a negative thing, of course it will also be amplified. I mean, if there's such a thing as a negative.
I don't know if you're already sharing this channel, but before beginning year 2000, I was walking this huge avenue in in Brazil, and suddenly something just hit me, and it was like time stopped, and I realized that most people, that everyone was just existing and not necessarily living. And I felt this absence of time. So what I realized that when we feel like wind and we see the pigeons in the streets or trees, they could be just in existence. So what would be the difference between living and existing? I see every existence being built by a thought. Everything is just thoughts, and that's the impermanence of it, like just like clouds passing by. But then what would living be? Is it being present, or is it like when we are aware and things are being created through us? Then is that living? It makes me wonder, is that the difference between existing and living? And if so, when we are in survival mode, like a wild animal or a plant, are we just existing? You know, we didn't talk about this yet, but for me there's a distinction between surviving and living.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So this is the invitation today to see and observe between existing and living. Everything exists. What is it? Everything is existing, but who of us are living? You know.
And the interesting part about what you're pointing out, a lot of people might in society might interpret it as, oh, then I delineate my purpose and I do according to an agenda. Again, I don't think it's that. Yeah, it is not that too. So how do we unpack this? And I totally agree that a lot of us might be on hamster wheel, not only by societal dictates because of values or because it could very well be because of habit or because we are not present to ourselves, our needs, what is alive, what is happening, you know, and the totality of it. And when that happens, we just generate a kind of a cycle of existing, you know, pushed by external forces or pushed by what's happening. And that is, to me, not presence as well. It is also not flow.
That's very interesting what you said, because for me this is what the Buddhists they refer to when we say samsara and the cycles of life. That's when we are existing. We appear in existence and then we vanish and then we appear again, just like thoughts. And that's like what they refer to law of impermanence, because even ourselves are impermanent. So I'm glad we have a trainer here, Trainer Leslie, which is a manifestation coach. And I have a question for you. Like, how do we realize that we are being manifested by someone or something's manifestation? Or when are we manifesting, you know? Because for me, when we're being manifested, it's just like this cycle of samsara, thoughts coming up and down, arising and vanishing like that. Then we're being manifested. Sometimes when you're talking to someone and you realize like, oh, I'm here, but I'm being created by someone. I'm being created by this person who's talking to me, perhaps. I'm being manifested here. I don't know, have you guys realized that? Because I get that a lot. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, okay. We're just presence here. So, Coach Leslie, so how do we realize we're being manifested? In other words, existing or manifesting.
Okay. Actually, I think that nothing is such a coincidence. So everything's like we are all the most differentiated version of each other, and I'm not sure even it's like I will explain shortly what I understand. So it's like source energy. So whatever everyone would like something, they send the request to the source energy. It's like sending a request in menu to the kitchen. So the waiter come and collect your order. So the chef can make dinner for you, something like that. So when the source energy already receive your request, source energy will find a way that have less resistance in order to give what you want. For example, in one restaurant, next table is a family with the child very lousy, scream very loud. If in the manifestation scenario is like, I would like them to, the child to stop yelling or playing around and making a loud noise. So I don't have to walk to the table and ask the family to take care of the kid. Instead, I just have that in mind, like imagine the picture of the peaceful atmosphere of the restaurant, something like that. And the source energy will find a way to connect with what the parent and the children want in order to match the our like a overlapping to have the mutual benefit. So in that case, maybe the parent order ice cream for the child, for example. So there's many times in my life that I really need something, and at that time, there's always way out things to make it working out for me eventually. So to answer your question about how we know that we are manifested already. So I think everything that we have right now around us is the thing that we have already manifested in the past. So for me, I appreciate everything I have at the present. And I'm not very like anxious or feel that I have to be in a hurry to get what I want in the future. So I just enjoy the present. I know that what I want, it will eventually come to me, something like that.
Thank
But
you.
if I keep focusing on the future, oh, sorry, if I keep
That's okay.
focusing on the future, I never enjoy the moment. I never enjoy what I have. So it's about observing, being conscious about my feeling and what Dr. Lim said, what Julia said about being present and see what arrives in you. So I observe myself, how I feel. I balance my vibration. I'm not sinking into sorrow. I'm not too happy because everything will pass. It's impermanent, raw, like you said, Dr. Eddie. So it's impermanent. So everything is impermanent. So when we are suffering, we just think that this too shall pass. When we are very happy, we also have to realize that this too shall pass. So it's become very neutral.
Thank you, Trainer Leslie. Julia, may I ask you, how do we realize? Is there a way to realize if we are being manifested or we are manifesting? We're being manifested, or being manifested or manifesting the event of life, the experience. How do we realize? How do we observe that? You're on mute, by the way.
Well, I find this distinction only useful if we are understanding that we cannot be manifested if we are present. So the thing is that we are always in constant creation. And if we are present, if we are not present, then we probably will be led by the expectations of others or the agenda of whatever is external. It's interesting that we're making this kind of distinction here because people might, I think the interesting part for me is that people might confuse this for being in the flow, but actually it is not. When we are really in the flow, we are attentive to everything, and we are attentive to how we create ourselves as well. And we are attentive to the interactions with all that is also us. It's a kind of like a ongoing dialogue with everything. And when awareness is total like that, then maybe it could be called presence. Okay, but anyway, I would like to acknowledge our participant here in who's watching our podcast now. And Elizabeth here asked a question. I want to read her question. So for many people, she says, living in the present means always in any opportunity to enjoy life. Everyone wants to go to the beach and holidays every weekend and stay late, enjoying themselves. But side effect is their sleep gets messed up. They spend every single cent and even go in debt to pay for the holiday and cannot hold a job. In some, very irresponsible financially to their, and also to their physical being. Are these people considered living in the present?
That's a very good question. Thank you, Betty. Is that her name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for your question. When we departmentalize our lives into work, family life, romantic life, and vacation, and we put our life into compartments like that, then we are acknowledging and we're acknowledging that system. When we make our lives into a department, it's almost like a circuit. It's almost like we're almost like a machine or a system. So this machine has some sort of like an agenda, or maybe goals, things to be accomplished, things to be done, and we could be very accomplishment or goal oriented. So we're always planning ahead what we're gonna do, things like that. I'm not telling people not to plan, okay? The thing is, but then let's say vacation was 1 month, for example. In some countries vacation is 1 month, and then you're in the last week, you're just like 2 days before you have to go back to school or work, and then this sadness takes over, or this dread or heavy feeling that, oh, it was so good, but now I have to go back. So you're going back to that other department of your life, because your department, vacation department, is finishing. So you're going back to this other section of the system, which you call life, and then you're feeling sad, because we would like that to be permanent. Something's finishing and vanishing. But what if we don't even enter that realm of that department or any other departments? What if life has no boundaries, no walls, and existence is just what it is? Would we still be sad? You know? Or would we even be having the variation between sad and happy due to a section of life? You know what I mean? Does it make sense? I don't know if I answer Elizabeth's question, but having our lives planned and looking back at the accomplishment, or looking forward to things that we have to do in order to be happy, or in order to be efficient, any of that, how could that be in present? Because for me, being present has nothing to do with past and future. Presence is not between past and future. There's this presence that's constantly there, regardless. I think that's where we get mixed up. That being present is being between past and future, and then there's this gap in the middle called the now or the present, but actually it's not. But we can develop this topic as we go along this podcast now. But I hope I answer Elizabeth's question. Would you like to try, Julia or Leslie?
I will want to say something, but Liz, if you have any comment or reflection, just put it down. We'll talk about it, huh? And then what I wanted to say when Eddie brought up that there's no compartmentalization is that I totally agree that this is exactly what I was talking about, that, we are neither, when we are always just externally moved, and then, there's no formula for this. In fact, to me, there's no inside outside, or there's no, if we start to consider some things as an agenda, then how present, and every moment is about fulfilling certain agenda, then how present are we? In fact, the agenda might be societal values. It can be like what Elizabeth talked about, like going to the beach and having fun. That is also an agenda. It looks like it's relaxation is also an agenda. And responsibility is also an agenda. And then let's say you say that, it might be more present for us to go to bed early, to actually make sure that our bank account is balanced. There is a nuance difference there. I mean, that awareness in the present moment, when I'm, let's say, at the beach, looking at the beach, and let's say I'm at the beach, then I be present there. And if I'm truly present, then my awareness also encompasses, probably at the moment, if it arises, whether I have or have not, and all these things that arises, there's no formula to it. There's no formula to it, but the person who is probably present can consider all these factors. It all happens here. So it's not to say that we evaluate presence by the quality of output according to certain standards or values or agenda. I find that is not a criteria for presence, but in presence, when we are present, anything can happen. And when we are present, what needs to happen then, we will allow it to happen through us. So, yeah.
I really like this expression you use when you say we are present, we will consider these other factors. Consider in terms of we will perceive, we will consider, we'll make it relevant. It doesn't mean that we're denying something or depriving our lives from that, but having consideration. It's not necessarily making it an agenda or making it a goal or making it like what do you call this?
Importance.
Yeah, importance. So when we do that,
we have a script running in our head.
It's different. We're not having any scripts running in our heads. because everything's just relevant,
Yeah.
but nothing is important.
Mm.
When things start to become urgent, they are in time. When we start seeing things as urgent, some things are more urgent than others, then are we present at that moment? And if things become too important, we start judging what's more important, what's less important, what's relevant, what's not. And we stop seeing things as everything being relevant, everything to be considered, everything holding our ground into existence.
Mm. And even that is not a criteria for everything to be equal before we consider ourselves present. What we are trying to, what I was also adding on to what Eddie was saying is just agreeing with him that indeed that when we consider anything important, then we are already running a script in our heads. We are trying to like push doing something. We are fixing, we are manipulating certain things, and we are no longer here. When we are truly here, we are not of a shaping mind to our reality. And when we are truly present, there is no pushing or swerving or things like that. I shared a poem with Eddie the other day. Can I just quickly read it, like a couple of lines? This 庄子 in Tao Te Ching, right? The Chinese philosophy thing. So he wrote this, very interesting to me. It says the mean person like this: the mean person deserves wealth. The noble man desires fame. In ways in which they affect their true form and change their innate natures, they are different. But as they cast aside what they have in pursuit of something they don't have, they become identical. And I thought, oh my God, that is so true.
When you mention about importance, and what came to me is that we start to put things in plural. Or you mentioned the word equality also. There's no equality actually when you're in presence, because once you're present, everything is not equally important or equally relevant. You are it. There's nothing existing at that moment besides this one whole thing. So if in the universe one thing existed, only one, would this thing be important or less important or have any value whatsoever?
Yeah.
What do you think,
Leslie?
I agree with what Julia said about Lao Tzu, right? The philosopher. Yeah. So if we keep, I couldn't hear clearly, but if we keep focusing on what we would like to pursue, we cannot enjoy the moment and appreciate what we already have, something like that. Right?
It's interesting because it's not about having, but the thing that the poem that I read, the statements that I read was more like it's being. That means if we want to be something else, like everybody wants to be a doctor, then, and we discard who we are or whatever is already there, then everybody becomes identical and uniform and of a formula. Then what's the good of that? And not only what's the presence of that?
Being would be the flow. Being, there's no pursuit. And it's interesting when Lao Tzu, is it Lao Tzu? Zhuangzi. So it's interesting when he mentions that everyone becomes the same, meaning that everyone is existing, And in existence, everybody's pursuing for something, even though this something is different and distinguishable among them. But when that happens, everybody's the same. Everybody's just existing. But who's being in that pursuing, Who's being? Do you understand? Is it?
Well, these are all pretty loaded words.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hear from Leslie first. Leslie, we've talked too much. Tell us what your reflections are.
Okay, shortly, I will say that I totally agree with this. Like, Eddie used to mention before this about like we don't have to have something in order to be happy. We just have to be happy, and then we just be happy and being there without condition. Like we got to have something in order to be happy. So I believe that it's kind of how you how you observe yourself and see how you feel. You may have a lot of things that you would like to do, but you can make things possible from what you already have and start from there. This is what my opinion. I'm not sure if it's related. So I think that to live to live and to exist is different, are different, and to live is that you really live your life in the way that you would like without have to be the same as other people. You just feel happy for whatever you do have. So it's not conform, it's not uniformity, it's not the same as everyone. You may like something that other people don't like, or you may choose to do or wear the dress or make up the way that you would like to without having the approval from other people. But of course, it have to be like considerate to other people too in some way. But I think that people can live their life the way they want if they would like to do that, and they just do right away without any fears or anger. I talked to my friend last night and she mentioned about her friend who have anger toward his ex in the past. So even they're married and have one son, but he still have a bit of anger every time he mentioned about his ex-wife. So she thinks that he's not living at the present. So if he let go, forgive, already clear up everything and move on, that he really live his life. So in this light, I think that living the life like you living the life without any negative or past that come with you is running you all the time. So if you be at present and observe yourself, you can generate anything. You can be creator, like Julia said, can create everything in that right here, right now, something like that. Yes, please.
That's quite interesting. Julia, I want to ask you about what Leslie mentioned. So, could we say that if we're living the past or in a memory, and this anger arises, could we say we're being manifested? Because we're not in presence, right? Necessarily speaking, but
sometimes when we recall something, we are actually bringing into present a past moment and we're reliving it. So it's not that thing happened in the past. We're actually creating a reality right now that is
That's a very good point, but
it is not.
what I'm
It might not.
wondering, what I'm wondering here is that, are we bringing it into the present moment, or are we dragging ourselves to that past, in the memory?
Surely.
So is this happening now, or are we being pushed back to a memory and leaving that memory somewhere, somehow, and our characters being manifesting that story back there? So are we bringing this now to this present moment, or are we being dragged down to that experience, perhaps?
Surely. You see, I don't know. I think that when we are always like having and being filled with dissatisfactions or wants or desires that are scripted according to what's important, like let's say just now we gave the example, everybody wants to be a doctor or a lawyer, the parents tell them that they have to, then maybe in your friend's mind is like the past, because why is he having such a grinding time with the past? Maybe because there is a value there that people shouldn't leave each other, marriage should be maintained, and it is a point of shame and guilt, maybe. I'm just imagining. So but when we are in a script, just now what we were talking about, when we are in a script, any kind of script, like my life should be abundant, and the abundance I know, and I manifest that I will have I have 5 condominiums in 5 years. Okay. And it's different. It's I don't think that's the law of attraction. I don't think that's the be do have. And I don't think that it is present at all. Why? Because once so long as we have a script running, we are no longer here. We are no longer, it's just like what Johnson is saying. If one wants to be a doctor, the other one wants to be also something, then we are always striving towards a uniformity. Are we then available to life, empty, and letting whatever is us just manifest? And I want to talk a little bit more about the manifestation later, because I think it's a very nuanced thing. The law of attraction, a lot of people have reduced it to a getting game, and it is not that.
Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Because like when you mention when people want to be a doctor, or they want to exercise the law of attraction, we have to be, it's very subtle, because we could be making this law of attraction a department in life, like I want to attract this, I want to be successful in that. We could, in this whole system, we could be creating this little section of our lives of what we want to attract, our making goals. So like for next year resolution, I would like to attract this or that, or more abundance, or more money, or something like that. So if you ask me, are we being present or not? I would say either we're trying to enhance one department of our lives or create one, and that becomes like a goal. So everything in our life becomes about, I want to attract this, I want to manifest that, I want to do this, I want to accomplish that. So how much of the flow are we into and surrendered, when all our focus and energy is in this so-called law of attraction?
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I actually, okay, just think about it. This is something that I thought about through the years as well. It's like when we want, want something. Actually, I think that desires are the engines of life, in a sense that, okay, nowadays I'd rather call it what is alive in us. And when we are really truly empty, then we are present to, oh, what is really alive now in me? And then it sort of is like that energy that moves me without me like having a script, you know. So like right now, if let's say I'm alive, and when I'm totally empty of conditioning, I'm empty of somebody telling me that, or the values that, you know, I need to be a doctor. It's different than I need to be a doctor. And then there's this emerging aliveness there that says that, hey, my God, that animal is hurt. I have to attend to it. And that is the nature of that doctoring or that giving that will guide my life if I'm meant to be a doctor or a healer or whatever. Okay, but if we are not attentive to that, but say, oh, sorry, that dog there bleeding in the leg, but I'm alive to helping, but I can't because I have to go back and study so that I can be a doctor. Okay, will it really lead us to what we want when we are not empty? When we are talking, if desires or wants or whatever is alive is the engine of the life, for example, then let's say if this person is so empty of anything, just present to whatever, even the aliveness is given from the divine. It's given from the divine. And that's why that aliveness, we, in our very small mind or limited mind right now, we might be imagining that, oh, I projected to a LV bag or projected to a jet plane or something, and I want to go towards that. Maybe yes, but it's a poor proximate to say that is it, and then I script my life towards it. Because when I script my life towards it, there's a lot of doing, striving towards something. It's not meant to be like that. It's meant to be more like aliveness lead us to another aliveness when we are totally empty and we are present to who we are, our responses and our dialogue with the universe then really is a true presence. It's different.
You know, it's funny because sometimes people will ask, hey, what's your next year's resolution? I want to know what's your goal so that I want to see if we're aligned or things like that. And I'm like, is there such thing as next year? What's this resolution about? And why do we have to set up goals? So usually when people ask me that, I'm like, I observe myself and see what's alive in me right now. I'm like, oh, I think I'm hungry now. Or maybe I need a coffee now.
Now, before I go on to comment on that, I would love to hear what Leslie has to say, because I also do not think, therefore, that we should not envision, we should not talk about our dreams. No, I'm not saying that. I will elaborate more. But Leslie, what do you think so far? Because
thank you.
Yeah.
For me, there's like I think my coach about manifestation, she told me that we cannot say 4 words if we want to manifest things. Like we don't say need, want, wish. I cannot remember the other word. So when we say something like that, we giving the vibration of lacking.
I
Say
think
that we don't have it.
the other word is hope, right?
Hope. Yeah, thank you. So we have to observe ourselves and check our vibration, our feeling that we are in state of that we already receive it. So we feel full and complete already. If we need something, we want something, we wish to have something, we hope that we have something, we are not manifested at all because we not have it. We sending the lacking vibration. We have to keep our heart in the state that we already receive it, and we feel so fulfilled and overwhelmed, completed, with all that feeling that we already receive it. We don't have to have like a lot of money in our bank account to feel abundant. We can just observe and look around us. This is the fresh, pure air that I am breathing. I live next to the beautiful tree, nature. I have my beverage. I have my delicious meal, homemade breakfast. I have my pet sat near me, something like that. So I feel abundant already. But that doesn't mean that I didn't want $1 million, something like that. But this is a start. We have to feel full and complete first. Be, in order to have, we have to be first in order to have something. I mean, sorry, it's the wrong word. We can be happy without having things. We can be rich before we having like more than this, something like that. Oh, sorry, say something like that again. we can be rich, we can feel rich, and we can give to people. And then later on, it's like law of karma, reciprocal. So we receive something back to us without expecting. But we can expect anyway. But not just like being suffer that we don't get it yet. Well, where are them? Where are the things that we want? We're not looking for that. We just know that someday we're gonna receive it eventually. Does that make sense?
Well, Eddie, you want to say anything?
Please go ahead.
Yes. Okay.
Just correct me if I'm wrong, or you have some
There's no wrong,
suggestion.
darling. There's no wrong. There's no wrong. It's just that I feel that it's a, how to say this? I think that a lot of people who have been like teaching about manifestation or about a law of attraction, they are doing by proxy, maybe sometimes accidentally by proxy. They might hit on that pure state of presence, but which anything can happen, anything we want can happen, but not through our own doing. But it's almost like a lot of how these coaches or manifesting teachers are doing, it is not, it's almost like a teddy bear versus the real thing. Yeah, I don't know whether and please, I'm not saying that your teacher is wrong. I'm just saying that to me it's like a proxy. It's almost like let's say I do cooking, and then there's a little kid I'm looking after, then she has her oven as well, but her oven is the dud one. Okay, but then she's like doing her cooking there also. Then I'm doing the cooking then. But I'm just saying that it's a dud one, it's a proxy. It looks almost there, but it's not quite there. You know why? Because in law of attraction is just a description of how, it's just an acknowledgement of how this universe works. The universe works. We are already here, manifested, coming into this life, already shining this divine nature that we are, if we let it, that uniqueness that Zhuangzi was trying to say, without this like nobleman wants to be this and somebody wants to be that. We already have a unique nature. We are not here to everybody become wearing a white lab coat and walking around. We are not here to do that. And how, to me, how is the law of attraction is more like, oh, it's an observation. It's almost like a scientist observing a phenomena, and then they try to describe it. So they sort of like the law of attraction people, the originators, they will know that you are already here, already with all these desires that will flow to you, because your nature is such, your true nature is already such. You just have to be empty and just let it be. You don't have to have the script of worry. You don't have to have the script of anxiety. So when they say be, do, have, it is almost like a technique or a method or formula to help people come to presence, in a sense that because whatever you want, you already are. Let's say if I want to be a doctor, why? It's because I have a nurturing heart, let's say. It's just that I express it in this very crude form called doctor. But actually, maybe it's just that pure heart that I have. And then my pure heart might be bigger than the doctor. I might become like something else. But the thing is that people attach to concrete things, and then they say that they want. But when we say be, do, have, and say, okay, I will try so hard to be a doctor now. It's like my beingness is a doctor. I'll go around walking like a doctor, and then I will understand that the law of the universe is that when we have resistance, the resistance also go into the cooking, and then the final ingredient will be maybe an anxious doctor or whatever, or things that what you want, what you don't want, everything goes into the pot. It's more almost like a formulaic way, an ingredient way of cooking life. But when we do that, it's like a teddy bear versus a grizzly bear in the real. We do it by proxy. Why do we do things by proxy? Because what's wrong with doing things by proxy? Because we put something not real in front of us and it becomes a stumbling block. Why do that when we eventually, if we are just like in true, if we understand that the law of attraction is just a description of how the universe works, and what is it trying to tell us all the time? All these trainers, I don't think they know it themselves. If they know, they will know that all these things like, oh, you just be in the good feeling space. When you're in the good feeling space means when you're empty, when you're truly empty of conditioning, empty of scripts, then you're in the good feeling place. Your natural true nature will lead the way without us being, doing, and having. So it's almost like a proxy method of getting us into a good feeling space of presence, but it's not it. And eventually people who just go by that way will have a stumbling block in their way to truly being empty, truly being observant, because their mind is blocked by wanting something and asserting towards that something. There's a difference between doing and things being done through us. It's different. So I'm so sorry, but I just had to say that. Yeah.
Thank you for both of your sharing. It's very beautiful. And I would like to share something about it. In existence, there are ways we are being manifested, and there are ways we exist and coexist. And everyone has a mechanism of existence. Not everyone is the same. And I'm not talking about the emptiness, okay? Maybe that emptiness is the only thing that makes us all one and common, whether we exist or not. That presence is void of existing or not existing, okay? The presence is always there. But the way we come into existence and this manifestation, regardless of beingness or wants or goals or law of attraction, things just come into this reality with various different laws, like law of gravity, law of attraction, or mechanisms. For me, for example, in my reality, I don't think much about the law of attraction or things that or setting goals, for example. But when I'm present and observe people, they might be in that kind of mechanism and existing that way. But what we all have in common is that where we all meet is in that space of emptiness and presence. Yeah, that's why I say there's no right or wrong. And I don't even see things as right teaching or wrong teaching, because talking about that doesn't change the mechanism of how we exist. Just because we talk about I'm a manifestor and maybe I'm not, it doesn't make me a manifestor just because I talk about it, for example. Or just because we talk about law of attracting things, does that mean we do attract? Or maybe that's a mechanism we or how we look at things, you know. Is this important? Maybe not. Is it relevant? I guess so. Everything's relevant, right? But whether how we function or whether how our mechanism bring us upon existing is all what we have in common in this life is presence and is silence, and that has no distinction.
I agree. I agree, because wrong or right, we know that in life we stumble forward. We don't just walk forward, we stumble forward. And we learn a lot from going into things and not right, or doesn't feel good. And then life will teach us, whether windingly, repeatedly, even those on the karmic wheel or those on the hamster wheel. No problem. Life is the path. It will exhaust you if we don't want to be applying the whatever that comes as a knowing. If we don't want to apply, and then we just like allow the habit to take us, fine. They will still exhaust themselves until they're so tired of it. Then something will happen. So all roads lead to Rome. It's just that some tiresomeness is so tiresome.
That's why people will hardly see me. You guys will hardly see me talk about this is positive energy, or this is the right way or the right path or something like that. Because the mechanism, it's always shifting. The way we arise into existence is always different. It's always impermanent, and we might not even recognize ourselves in the next minute, and we might just stumble upon it and then go like, oh, okay, this is what's alive in me now. So I think that's the beauty of it, you know, and the appreciation of it. And that's why I say there's no right or wrong teaching, because I don't know what's everyone's moment right now, you know. It's just relevant to that being, to that particular existing being. So I don't dare to say that that being is not evolved or is wrong way of looking at life or something like that, because It's just how things come upon existence.
Yeah.
Leslie,
Yeah,
I
that's
have
great.
I have a hunch you wanna talk. You wanna say something?
I totally agree with you. It's about, I think life is about appreciation and gratitude to everything, every situation, every people that you encounter or experience in your life. So even this bad experience, sadness or grief or the things that you want or you unwanted thing is come to us just as a gift to teach us something. So everything that happened to us is always good. In the Japanese culture, there is a culture of tree drinking. They will appreciate the cup of tea. The tea cup in a Japanese tea cup is always beautiful. There's a lot of pattern with a beautiful pattern like painting. Before Japanese people drink tea, they will appreciate and notice the pattern and see the tea cup. As this is the last time they will see this cup, so we do consider and feeling like, oh, this is a very beautiful teacup, and see all the detail and examine is like very caring and truthfully. So in the same way as you interact with people, you treat them as this is the last time you will see them. So when I see people, no matter like this is the first time I see them or this is my close friend, this is my family, I think I should treat them with respect and consider that this is the last time I will see them. I will treat them the best that I can and treat them with respect to make them feel good. Everyone that comes to me, they will feel lucky, something like that. That way. So in Japan, they have a wrapping. The wrapping, the gift wrapping, always so beautiful and caring, and all the detail are so much detail, because they think that the person who received the gift, they will see from the package, they will see how beautiful the package is, and they will appreciate all the items and things. So in the same way, the life, you appreciate life, appreciate every person you interact and see and meet in your life. Also, in the same way, I think that um, if you stop and observe and see inside yourself and ask yourself how you feel to the things that happen, you will see who you are. You will find, you have self-inquiry to ask yourself about things. Why the purpose of your life, how to make your life like more meaningful, like the um, pyramid, the hierarchy of need of Maslow. In the top one, I'm not sure it's self-actualization or something like that, because after in the bottom one, which is the big one, when we fulfill the hunger, we have food, we sleep well, we feel safe, everything on the top is something that you make you feel so proud of yourself, make you feel fulfilled. I think that top one is the meaning of the purpose of your life. So if you want to live your life, you just have to be at present, observe yourself, have self-inquiry, and you will live your life the way that you want, not the way that social value or the thing that people tell you what to do, or running by all the things that happened in your past that shape you to be the person you are nowadays. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Dr. Lim. Oh, sorry, Julia.
Just now what Eddie was talking about, it's it's that exemplification or that example or what really is what I was saying about, it's not about that doing something, but something, the things that are being, life being done through us, you know. So I think that's is a worthy distinction to perceive in life, because I'm always a doer because I'm so action oriented. It's like I can do multiple things at once, okay? But it doesn't then it doesn't mean that doing many things at once is wrong. It is probably with it, it's how it is done. If it's really alive in me right now, and life is living through me, if I'm such an empty channel that my whole being already has that desire inbuilt, or that life force, whatever we call it, man, that inbuilt, that is already coming out, okay, shining by itself. And then if I allow life to live through me, I don't need to try so hard. I don't need to be in the doing, like the plan. Yeah, plan fine. Planning is totally fine. And if the planning is it's not something I have to do. If it naturally flows, that I'm okay, I feel better writing a few things down in a notebook, and I want to do it now without a have to or should or whatever. If I just do it, no harm, just do. And then, but how it's done, if life lives through me in that way, just let it come. Then there will be no judgment of have to, should be, and all that. So how do we know that we are present or not? One, or whether we are doing, letting life live through us, or living the life through doing. That means trying to manipulate life or whatever. One good way of looking or observing is probably the use of imperatives in our heads. The imperatives like should be like this, things that have to, you should be doing this, you have to do that. Once we hear ourselves talking to ourselves like that, then probably it is already us doing, us fixing, us not letting life live through us. Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to say something practical that happened to me by practicing presence, is that when I see people interacting with me and all that doing everything, when all that doing just go through me, when I'm interacting with people and they're doing something, we're talking about the doing. There are many cases where whatever stance they are holding, I just think it's cute,
Really?
It's just like when you go beyond right or wrong or good or bad and you're not seeing that way, everybody's just beautiful and cute,
Some people are harder to accept being cute, especially if they're irascible, but it's fine. I get what you mean.
But I mean, when it comes to that, it's just seeing a being, regardless. It's like, like we said, maybe we see cats and they're cute, but if you look at hyenas, they're not. But actually, if you just see everything as nature, for example, just observe in a natural way, without a standpoint, everything's just beautiful and cute,
Yep. Agree.
And you go beyond the doing. You don't see that. You just see, maybe you see the function of the mechanism of everything. You don't have to see its purpose, but it's quite irrelevant, that purpose too, to the individual. It's just everything beautiful and cute. It's just my word. I don't know what word to use. It's just
Yeah, I would say adorable, or maybe
yeah.
like I feel great sense of compassion coming out. Yeah,
Yeah, like
or
that.
like oh, it's like, okay, a great sense of compassion. You know that this being is being the best that it could be. You know, it's like just as he or she should be. And what else to call it but adorable, you know?
And you know that's so interesting, because how not to be grateful on the face of that, isn't it?
Yep.
Leslie?
Yes, I think you should see beauty in everything, in all the situation, living being, or whatever that come to you. I would say like let it be, something like that. If people are that way, it's their nature, so we just have to understand their nature. And in in Buddhism, we have something like whenever anyone do anything to us, even the good thing or bad thing, we have to be considerate to them, because we are all share the same four things. It's like we born, we we get old, we get sick, and finally everyone will die. So we have to remind ourselves in every breath of ourselves, like inhale and exhale. Every inhale and exhale, we have to warn ourselves that one day it will be our time to leave this world, because everyone have to die. So we're not so ambitious, or we're not like take things too serious. Just let it be, and if anything happens, just let it go, something like that. So we not get too much attached. We can detach from the thing easier with this.
Thank you for bringing that part of attachment or detachment. I think sometimes we might be departmentalizing our life on those perspective of, oh, I should not be too attached, oh, I should let it go, or letting go and move on with life. I think sometimes those kind of stances, it's an invisible occult department of our lives, trying to live a life without attachment. It becomes like a goal or accomplishment too.
When you say a cult department, I would think maybe like it's same as the teddy bear that was trying to talk about. It's not real. It's a proxy. It's a proximate of the real thing, but it's a dud. It's a dud. It's probably doing its work. Sometimes you might even accidentally hit on the right spot. It actually might help you to achieve maybe an outcome accidentally.
I'm not saying that departments are wrong, because sometimes it could be the mechanism of each being, but I'm just inviting us to observe that we could be doing that, and whether we want to continue or this is how our mechanism or our existence has to be, we respect that, but just inviting to see.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate more on that?
Of course.
I'm not so sure if I got it right.
Sometimes when we get this very high wisdom that we should not attach ourselves to things or people, and then we try to live a life of detachment or unattached, that becomes a goal. That's something that we're trying to accomplish. That's what we put an intention on, and this will be like my New Year's resolution, or it's something outside. It's not how we see, but maybe that's how we want to put a filter on and see life like that. And we're trying to do a perform it's not arising as how we come to existence and how we're constituted naturally. You know what I mean? It becomes that script. It becomes a plan, a goal, anything like that.
It becomes a stumbling block. It becomes something that is a delay. It might just make the whole process a little bit more struggling, I think.
You at the end, it could be something unhealthy. If we talk about physical health or we talk about other perspectives, it could be something that, oh, I feel so guilty. I'm trying to detach from that person. I'm trying to not be so attached to material things, and I'm so frustrated now. And then this becomes always either an outer goal, unattained, or something to be guilty of, or something that we frustrate ourselves, and that may not be our present reality, what's alive now.
A very enlightened being once said that one of the important, if he could at all help people to come to a state of their true nature, he's mentioned one thing: it's no virtue or no piousness. I know this sounds weird. What do you mean no virtue, no piousness? What he meant is that don't let virtue stand in the way of being present. It's like if we put virtue or piousness, becomes like something that should be done, have to be done. It sort of like becomes a script that blocks us from being here now. It's like then if let's say just like for example a kid falls down, and then it's like scrape the knee, and then he's saying, "Daddy, it's painful." And then you say, "Hey, you must eat your breakfast because breakfast is good for you." And you say, "That boy should not cry. Just keep it to yourself, man. And then just let's go. Don't be late for school." So how present are we?
I get what you're saying, and when we talk about self-knowledge, we have to find our true self and know ourselves. Those are all goals too. If we put into like this subtle view, and the thing is, what I realize about this is that there's no path to self-knowledge. We just stumble upon what we are at this moment. I would rather say we perceive or we stumble upon it, rather than I'll find my true self and this is my true self, in a very imperative way, or this is how I should be, or this is the ideal me, or this is my higher self. I rather use or say that we just accidentally we stumble upon ourselves, or we come to realize what's alive now.
When we make anything a rule, even if let's say we take away what Eddie said just now and try to put it down as a rule, we put it on a tree and post it and stick it to the computer and try to live it. Am I this now? Am I not now? And then we were totally missing the point as well. We suddenly created another department, created another compartment. Yeah, the whole point is, if virtue itself becomes a stumbling block, then it's almost like putting on a monk robe and calling yourself a monk.
I would like to just clarify about the department thing, because I know that maybe people listening to us, you might think, okay, so we don't have family, there's no family life, or there's no married life, or work life, or whatever. I'm not saying there isn't, because if you create, there is. If you create, there is. But my invitation is, those are all filters. How about seeing life as it is? I'm just inviting you to see beyond that filter, Maybe you may just accidentally stumble upon yourself. Leslie, yes?
Oh, yeah. I noticed one thing that you use a lot of the word try, like try to detach, try to let go, try to something like that. Actually, I feel a little bit a little slightly disagree with that. Uh, I understand that we not just have to set our goal. Okay, I have to detach. I need to detach. I try to detach, something like that. It's actually it's natural state of our mind. When we not hold on something, we let go of the rope. We just detach it. So it's kind of relaxing, because the Buddha said the root of suffering is that uh, we not accept the truth of life. We hold on that everything have to be permanent, everything have to be ours, everything have to stay the same and not change. It have to exit, something like that. So when we don't accept the truth of life, we feel suffer. When we know that everything is impermanent, we detach, we let go.
I like what you said, but I realize that I'm more in the acceptance of the truth of life when I'm not trying something, when I'm not struggling to something. That's when I'm in acceptance.
Yeah, the same thing in manifestation. We don't try, we don't make a lot of effort. If we put a lot of effort, it means that we don't have it yet. We just let it flow freely, and it flow freely to us.
It's not our nature, right?
Yeah, it's something like a law of the universe. I guess I would like to say a little thing about Elizabeth, the very respectful audience. Elizabeth mentioned about going to the beach, right? And worry about the bank account money. Actually, if she just go and enjoy her vacation and and just be there, enjoy the moment that you have your vacation at the beach, and you know when you do what you love, money will come. So when you are happy, all the abundance come to you. So just come to focus on yourself first. No fear, no worries. Enjoy your vacation, things like that.
Thank you,
In
Trainer Leslie.
that way. Thank you.
Julia, I would like to ask, was there any reply or any other question from our viewers?
Liz didn't say anything else.
Okay. I really enjoyed today's podcast, really. It's a very challenging, I would say quite difficult topic to unfold and talk about. And I'm grateful that you girls did it very bravely and present.
Thank you. My deep appreciation and everything.
Any last words?
Shortly, I saw the Facebook post this morning. It's about it said on the post that life is about balance of holding on and letting go. So I saw this and I quite like it, and I think life about balance. So you have to balance, not you have balance. If you don't have balance in life, you feel struggling, you feel unhealthy, you feel not well. So whatever you do, you be conscious, observe to yourself, and balance everything.
Thank you so much. Julia?
well, who Leslie, thank you for saying that. You're so beautiful.
Thank you.
Such a beautiful heart, and
Thank you.
such a beautiful striving. And I just want to say that, well, just be yourself, everyone.
Thank you. Well, I think that's it for today, and I appreciate your presence here in our timeless conversations, and see you next week.
See you next week.
Okay. Thank you so much,
you.
everyone,
Bye.
and having a very knowledge. Thank you.
Take care, huh?
Have a nice day.
You too.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Bye.